but he thought he understood his duty in terms of the country and really in terms of the whole of humanity.
Exactly.
And so he went for the larger duty.
Exactly.
But not because it was pleasant.
Right.
Totally out of a sense of duty. So I think he is the ultimate karma yogi.
Yeah,
and of course, a little bit like you at 17, Gandhi said in 1925, when I am really despondent, by this time he'd been in this nationalist movement and nonviolent movement, you could say from 1906, but certainly from 1919. He said, when disappointment stares me in the face and I feel alone and without hope, I pick up a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, as you two can do with like that, and he says, and then I am able to continue confident and cheerful, because his focus is not on the results; it's on his conviction that he is performing his duty.
Yeah. To those who criticize the Gita as an impossible platitude that's not possible to apply in daily life, I would argue vehemently and say that yes, you can, and in fact, that mindset is very liberating, and it helps you do a better job in the process. And I would give a simple example. If you are playing tennis, if you're thinking about the set score or the game score, and you're obsessed about that, that can be a huge distraction.
I agree.
Whereas what Gita would tell you is that every ball, let this return across the net be the best that you can do.
Exactly.
So your effort should be the best, and don't worry about the set score and the ultimate game score.
Right.
Every ball, just one ball at a time,
right.
That's being in the present and being totally focused, and that's likely to produce a better result.
I am a living testimony. At the fourth quadrant of my life, when I started reading the 5th chapter of the Gita and then switched to the 2nd chapter, my living testimony is that I used to be a tyrant. I'm an employer, small business owner. I used to be very harsh with people. I used to be angry at times. I used to feel unfulfilled. As a result of reading chapter 5, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 6, although I have read the others, I have become a completely transformed person. Forget all the other aspects of the Gita, which I want you to go through, and I'm going to point out as to which part we would like you to enlighten us on. If Gita were to be the arbiter of the good and bad, Krishna being the referee between Arjuna and what Arjuna faced, and Krishna carved out 3 or 4 different paths of karma and yoga to reach the ultimate. We still haven't talked about what is the ultimate aim that we are pursuing. All the 3 of us so far spoke about not the unmanifest stage of being unborn, not the unmanifest stage of being dead forever, but we so far spoke about the living part. So I want you to address, where do we want to go with this? We would like you to enlighten us with respect to drawing parallels from the Bible, Western traditions, of the body, the mind, and the intellect, as to how all these aspects are covered both in the Gita as well as in the Western traditions, so that we all understand how to draw from each of those traditions to apply in today's world.
Okay.
You got a big challenge here.
I'll say. I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
It's not that I haven't thought about it, but it's maybe that I've thought about it without being so confident of the outcome. So one of the complexities with respect to the Gita is that after we think we figure out the early chapters, which is about karma yoga, the Gita goes on past that. And after we get to the other yogas, the idea seems to be that also changes the karma yoga. So that the reason that karma yoga is true is not that it's an immediate practical device for getting through the day. It's that Krishna knows the largest possible context in which every moment is lived. The tennis return is part of a larger game, and the game is part of two lives, and two lives are part of a culture, and the culture is part of a civilization, and a civilization is part of a whole creation. And so then when we start saying, as you just said, Kal, what's it all about? I think we have to say it's not all about karma yoga. The other yogas are relevant. The karma yoga might be the one that we need immediately and practically. But if we really want to understand the Gita and Hinduism and everything else, then I think we need to know where does karma yoga fit? Well, I think it's true that karma yoga is true. That is to say, doing our duty is a good idea, because Krishna holds the two competing sides in one embrace. And so Arjuna has to do what he has to do in the battle, because the battle is part of a culture and part of a civilization and a part of the whole of history. And Krishna is overseeing the whole of human history. So it's a little bit like when we're favoring Gandhi so far, right. But Sri Aurobindo, right, was a revolutionary before Gandhi came from South Africa, superbly educated in London and Cambridge, a brilliant and charismatic figure. And the British put him away in jail, basically to get rid of him. And so he was in the Alipur jail in 1908 to 1909, waiting trial, and he meditated. He had also memorized the Bhagavad Gita. So he would chant it. And he had an experience there, not of karma yoga, but of Krishna holding the jailers and the murderers in the same embrace, in the same way that Krishna held the warring cousins on the battlefield. And so he came away with this idea that as we go into a larger and larger context, that we should try to reach the perspective of Krishna. Mm-hmm. So